Hello and welcome to Hikima Council's Makala Podcast channel. Makala, meaning branches, Kasisutu. My name is Amanda Masondo and I'm your host. We hope this podcast finds a way to impact, educate, and inspire your next. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Buzzsprout. Basically everywhere where you find your podcast fix. Every first and last Friday of every month. My name is Amanda Masondo and I am your host. As per usual, if you're watching us today, you're either watching us on the first Friday or the last Friday of the month. Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is the fastest growing podcast channel, entrepreneur focused channel in the country. I'm not even kidding. I promise you I'm not kidding. And the numbers don't lie. We're not boasting. We're just saying facts. Please like and subscribe and follow. Just be the first. Click on that little bell. Be the first to get your installment, your fix, every first and last Friday of every month. My guest today, Uzbiza Lomfana Owashamatei. I saw that somewhere.
Well, that's what people in my hood call us. Like,
so it's not you. So it's a given name.
No. So when we were starting out, you'd be in a queue and Pick and Pay, and like the ladies at the till would be like, "Hi, Lethabo Mokoena." And that's just how it came about.
That's how it came about.
Yeah.
Well, you heard it here first. His name, Lethabo Mokoena, and he is the CEO, the founder, the originator of WalkFresh. Hello, Lethabo.
Hi, how are you?
Good, thank you.
I'm good, I'm alright.
Let's start from the beginning. How did WalkFresh come about?
Sure. I've told the story so many times. I think my mom can tell the story because she's already memorized
We should have gotten a clip from her, yes?
But no, I think it's always important to tell the story. Just like genuinely, we started WalkFresh, and I always say speak Kawin, because there's always a team behind every entrepreneur. Started WalkFresh 2015, and I had just came back home from school, and I was in corporate, had a full-time job. And you know, I'm from Davidson, I'm from the East End, Davidson. And when you come back to the hood, from work or from buses, from wherever, like there's always machita, go to shop home, right? And I grew up also as that guy, right? And there's always that thing of how to go to school. When you come back from school, you become Lethabos. You move from being Lethabos to Lethabos.
As soon as it rings for the first time, go corporate,
right? And then the people you grew up with have to wash your car because you're suddenly there hot man. I found that to be strange. I was just like, this is strange, right? Because these are people that I grew up with my entire life, went to primary school with, used to walk to high school with, and then suddenly, for various reasons, I'm seen as this whatever, you know, and that didn't sit well with me. But I didn't know what to do at the time. I was just like, this is weird, and I'm very confrontational. So I was just like, I'm also trying to make a living, you know, because every day you have to come back and give someone 500, 30 and I was just, that's not practical, like you know. And one day, and I kept saying to my best friend at the time, I'm like, yo, I wish there's something we can do. I don't like giving people handouts. I don't like that. I was like, I wish there's something that we can do for my outie, you know. And one day I came back home on a Friday, and my other friend was cleaning his mom's slippers and shoes. Like, so we're chilling, and we're having chats, and he's just like cleaning his mom's shoes. And I like suede sneakers. And I was like, yo, Joe, like, I actually have suede sneakers that I don't even know what to do with them. I'm scared that even if I touch them, I'm going to ruin them. You know, why don't you get paid for doing that, right? And naturally, guys, like, gents laugh at important things, right? I don't know if it's a way to numb whatever, but everyone laughed, right? And I was just like, actually, this could be a thing, because I had never seen it. I had never seen it done at that level, you know? And right there and there, I saw the opportunity. I was like, yo, actually, I think this could be like a business. And even me personally, I had always been, like, for a long time, post me graduating, felt like, hey, this 9-to-5 thing is also very strange for me. Because during my varsity years, I had like 3 jobs, right? So I could juggle jobs. And I could earn like a very decent, like, earnings by end of the month because of 3 jobs. But now I have 1 job, and it requires me to be there the whole day. And because I'm an intern, the money is like not the man that I'm used to. So I was also conflicted, you know. But then when the idea came, I was like, yo, I think this is something we can pursue, right? And I've always been like someone who's hustling. I've always been one of those guys. But I never imagined myself as an entrepreneur. No one at home is an entrepreneur.
Okay.
At home it's academics, teachers, whatever, right? But right there and there, I said to the gents, I think we can start this thing. Everyone laughed. Following day, I had money saved up for petrol. This was Feb 2015. I took money I saved up for petrol. I bought scrubs. Because also, sneaker cleaning gogas is something that's always there.
Yeah.
So it was a no-brainer. I didn't have to think, how are we going to do it? We knew how to clean sneakers, right? Or so we thought. Bought the materials following day. This was when Metro Rail was still functional.
Okay.
Then I took the remaining money and bought a monthly ticket because we used to travel, got the rain.
Yeah.
Packed my car, bought material, went to work with Metro Rail. First month we cleaned, I think 30 pairs. And as we're cleaning these pairs every day, I come back from work, I look at the gents, what's happening, I'm trying to help, I'm doing research. My student card was still working, so I used to go to the library for the Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Doing research, and no one was doing it. I was just like, this is not real.
Yeah.
The only guys that were doing it were in Little Tokyo in America.
Yeah.
Jason Mark, that's the only guy who was doing it globally, right? As a walk-in, like bring your sneakers. This is not a shoe repair, it's just cleaning. Then picked up some concepts from there, and fortunately I was an agency, right? I'm copyright, I used to do copyright. So fortunately I was an agency, and being in that environment, you have access to all these resources, right? One of my friends was a graphic designer, Muzindlo, who designed the first WorkFresh logo.
Yeah.
I studied strategy, so we sat down and built the strategy, did focus groups, did all of those things, right? And in Feb, I said to the guys, no, we're actually stopping. Someone's going to see this thing. Some rich kid is going to see this thing, and they're going to run with it, you know? Which has happened multiple times. But anyway, we stopped working in Fab, did all the research, business registrations, logos, focus groups.
This is still in 2015?
15, yeah. Okay. Then in June, we launched the business.
Okay.
In June. Then, this is 9 years later.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go back a bit. So we're in Davidton. Obviously, talk us through your background, right? How you grew up, right?
Yeah.
And maybe if there was some, knowing what you know now, if there were things that you saw in the way that you grew up that probably told this tale that you might have some inkling about entrepreneurship, even though you didn't know at the time that it might be something you're calling. Do you think there was that moment in your childhood that you can think, maybe actually this thing has always been in my blood?
So I think maybe what's worth interrogating is how entrepreneurship is perceived, Kokasi, right? Entrepreneurship, even this buzzword is a new word. Kokasi is a businessman, right? And that title has always been reserved for Bomatala, like the guys that own the train shops, but in the cities, you know. So what I've always, what I've always known is I was taught money early. Yeah. My uncle taught me like money early. My uncle told me, you have to have money, like you have to make your own money. And even my mom, I used to think my mom hates me, but my mom used to ask me for like money when I was in high school, and I'm like, dog, like how? You gave me money to go to school and you ask me for money again. But she was so adamant to be like, you can't just be walking around as a guy. What's not chale? How are you gonna build a house? My mom has always been like, what's not chale? You know? Okay. And we actually, when I was older, we actually had to sit down and talk about that because I was so traumatized, right? But I was always taught the principle of making money, right? Of making money. That's why I got into a lot of trouble. Days growing up. Before WorkFresh, I used to sell envelopes to taxi drivers, right? Because I always used to see taxi drivers go into like the tuck shop to buy envelopes, right? Every day. And I used to ask the gents, why am I buy an envelope? And they're like, no, how about checkies? So when they give the taxi owner money at the end of the day, every taxi driver takes it in an envelope. I'm like, what? Then I found a factory here in Wynberg that manufactures an envelope. Yeah. So I used to supply taxi owners with envelopes, right? So every month I just deliver envelopes, I get paid. So for me, it's always been about getting paid. It's never been about having employees, all those things, you know. That's why I was saying now, I didn't choose to be an entrepreneur. Like, sometimes I feel like, I was happy, I had corporate, end of the month, you get paid, you know. Money, but I think to answer your question, for me, it has always been about hustling. I'm from the school of thought about DJ Spoo. 4-star, we were obsessed with Spoo in the road at that time. Like, that's who we looked up to because we could relate, the language was close to us, but he had massive reach, right? So we I posted the other day. I was like, yo, I still remember the day Smooth said this on YFM, ProKid dropped this album, because all of us, that's what, like, our connection to the rest of the world, right?
Gotcha.
So it was always been about hustling. Yeah.
Sure. Okay. So it's been 9 years, right?
Yeah.
When you think about what the concept behind Walk Fresh was then versus what it is now, has there been some changes, or is it still the same kind of concept? As in how you are, the business structure is still fundamentally the same, or you've tweaked it? You found that actually, and maybe they walk in, now you change some kind of business structure in order to change with the times.
So I mean, my mentor taught me something first year in business. He said, intensify before you diversify, right? So for us, in the first half of our existence, it's always been like, okay, let's get this right.
Yeah.
If someone says sneaker cleaning, they must think Walk Fresh before. And obviously, as a young entrepreneur, you get excited and you get enticed by all these other ideas. Can we do handbags? Can we do caps? And we dabbed into those. But I think for me, I'm always following the numbers. And I'm like, we're bleeding money here, you know. So fundamentally, the model is still the same. But then what happened post-COVID, we realized that the model as it was is not future-proof, right? Because now COVID is there, all the stores are closed.
Yeah.
The landlords are not being rational, they're still wanting their rental. And then you realize, I'm actually building like an elephant. It's not agile. So now we've had to revisit the model and say, okay, how do we scale down on some of our CapEx to make sure that we're agile, we're able to move quicker, whatever happens, right? But also to maximize on the margins and just keep the cost down. So fundamentally, the model is still the same, but obviously evolving it to speak to the times now. Because I mean, we were cleaning sneakers in 2015. Today we're cleaning and manufacturing detergents. So you have to speak to things like that.
Yeah.
You know? So,
okay. All right. So for somebody who's never seen Walk Fresh, never heard of it.
Yeah.
I've got dirty sneakers. Talk me through the process. How does it work?
Two things you can do. You can go on Google, type Walk Fresh, you'll find your nearest store, or you can go on our website and book a pickup.
Okay.
You punch in your address, you pay, we send our driver, cleans your shoes, get an SMS when they're ready, we bring them back to your house. Done.
Quick and easy. Lovely. And then the logistic part of it. So obviously now having to put in a driver means a logistic element to your business, right?
Yeah.
Are you using an Uber or do you have in-house drivers?
So the classic mistake we all make is wanting to be to have control over the whole value chain, right? So initially we have our own cars that go out, but then, end of financial year, you look at the cost of maintaining those cars, and so we always work with third parties, which also has its own downfalls, right? I mean, I've just had a big fallout with one of the third party guys where a client's shoes got lost.
Yeah.
And when I'm tracing it, the driver who picked up the shoes is not the driver on the app. Ooh. And now I have to go to the offices and blow it up, you know. But I mean, these are some of the things that we obviously have to sit down internally and mitigate and say, okay, what's the radars we can do? What are the measures we can put in place to make sure that it doesn't happen? But for us, it's really, if it's close by to us, we'll send the driver.
Okay.
But if not, the cost has to be the client's cost.
Okay.
Right? Because when you're starting out, you get excited, free pickup and delivery. But when you sit with the numbers, you're like, actually,
I can't do free.
You know? So these are some of the lessons that we've learned over the years, and trying to build those relationships. That's like the more you do this, the more you realize, okay, I have to let go of this. But there's a big element of trust in me letting go. To whoever I'm handing over to, there must be a very intense trust element there.
Okay.
So yeah.
Talk me through the people that you work with, right? You mentioned from the beginning that it's always been a team.
Yeah.
Right? Talk me through the value chain of the team. So who's in your business? Who participates in Walk Fresh?
The nice thing about bootstrapping is that your default setting is not spending money, right? So for me, I'm always looking at my resources, which is my community, right? So for your soft skills, we always outsource it. Like, we've never had like a full-time HR person.
Okay.
We always outsource it as and when, be it our accountants and whoever. And like, again, fortunately, because of the relationships I've built and friendships that I have through varsity or whatever other spaces I'm in, most of my friends are professionals. I'm just the only one who's cleaning sneakers, and But
you gave up professional.
Yeah, So in the stores, we have the guys, we have the store managers, we have the ops managers, and we have the technicians.
Yeah.
Then at the office, then we have the admin lady, we have the sales lady, and we have me, who's the all-rounder. We also have the driver. So it's a whole bunch of people. I mean, we have 2 people at the office in Cape Town, and 3 here, so on and so forth. So yeah.
Okay, so lots of growth as well. Cape Town. When I met you, I think you had once you were building, I think the container store. And
yes.
Yeah, that was like years ago. And then you were still. So now we're moving. We're in other cities now.
Hey, it's tough, chief. It's tough this day.
I hear you. You mentioned in the beginning COVID, right?
Yeah.
Those are some of the headwinds that all businesses had to be faced with, right?
Yeah.
There's inflation, there's water crisis now, there's so many other things. What are some of the things that you think are specifically harming entrepreneurship at this stage?
I think COVID was a revealer, right? As to how broken the ecosystem is, and as to how we really haven't been building businesses and systems. We've just been building like really cute shells, and COVID broke those shells, and we're just like, yo, actually, what are we doing here, right? So for me, understanding, and I'm a big person on compliance, right? That saved our business during COVID, because through our compliance we could get money from the government, right? But COVID was such a revealer that forced us to interrogate our own systems, to interrogate the things that we're spending money on, right? Because everyone had to be frugal during COVID, right? So it was such a difficult time, but a very sobering time also, like a very sobering time. And it was really survival of the fittest, and we're like, okay, let's see if we really know what we're doing, you know. And as the owner, you always take the biggest knock, right? Because you want to make sure that your team, you still have these people, because I mean, you have very great people that you don't want to lose, you know. So I think some of us are still like psychologically like recovering from that, you know. Like PTSD. Once I want to put against a mask, you're just like, yeah, you know. So
not this again.
It was quite tough. I mean, I know a lot of friends who closed shop. You know, we closed Soweto. We closed Soweto, and we're just like, it's not practical for us. We can't afford it. We're bleeding money there because it was a new shop. We're still building momentum. Different area, so we just like actually. So
in that area, people don't actually know you yet.
You know, people that beyond people knowing you, but also figuring out the logistics, right? Because it's my second shop. It's all the way in Soweto. So many things at play, you know. So.
Okay, let's talk about, you're finding yourself, the more stores that you open up, right, the more you have to interact with property owners of malls, of institutions like that. They have their own mandate. They want their money, right? We mentioned it in the beginning. So how are you finding that kind of transition? If the business is doing well, rent is able to be made easy. But when it's not?
Hey, that's the thing, right? The more you do this thing, you realize the letter is not an option. When it's not part, it's not an option, right? Every store has its target. You know, every store has its target, and it's a principle within the team. The team is responsible for making sure it hits targets. The company is responsible for making sure that it hits target. So for us, it's when the store hits target, people get commission. When they don't, whatever happens. But it's such a deliberate thing on our side. When we build a store, when you go into a store, we say, okay, what's the rental? And because we know the model now, we know what the average is, worst case scenario. And we say, okay, worst case scenario, we'll be able to pay rent. We need to 2x that, right, in terms of revenue. So for us, and that's the thing of being slow cooked, right, of taking your time with things. I said this one time as I was opening the shops, I slowed down. I think we just opened Alberton this month after a 4-year sabbatical from opening shops. Because I said to myself, am I opening shops because of the ego or because the business needs the shops, right? And I was like, no, this shop thing is strange because I'm just compounding my stress, right? I'm not saying they're not working, but they're not working in such a way that I can do this again and again, right? Let me drill deep into the stores first and understand with the current ones that I have, right? So I had to stabilize and look and ask questions and work at the shops, right? And spend time there working. And unfortunately, most of my clients don't know me. So even when they come to the store, they interact with me. I ask like probing questions, so blah, 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 you know? And from there, I was like, oh, okay, cool. Even in how we're going to open shops, we're going to do it like this. Because the thing about us, people just see people opening shops and when you're bootstrapping, you don't have like a corporate behind you that's picking the locations for you.
Yeah.
That's negotiating with the leasing managers with you. We teach ourselves I taught myself all of that. Right? I had to sit and say, why do I want to open in that mall? Most people don't like malls, to be frank.
Yeah.
And what we're doing is actually a chore, right? It's a chore. It's something that you want to wake up on a Saturday morning before going out. Let me quickly do this thing, then get go touch us after that.
Yeah.
Not when I'm ready to go to touch us, I'm going to go, So you have to put yourself in your client's shoes and understand their process, how
and
they think.
The day-to-day
movement, right? And then that allows you to pick the spaces that you're in. You're like, okay, cool. Who's my market? This is my LSM. Where are they? Okay, they're in places like this. Oh, most of them go to Woolies. I'm going to follow Woolies.
Okay.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you see, okay, most of them, so that's why it takes some of us so long to make a move. Because when you make a move, you have one shot, chief. Like, there's no runway. Even the guys know.
Yeah.
When we hire the store, we'll hire Hanyan and Yan. When you guys make the sales, we'll put someone else.
Yeah.
But if there's no shoes and you guys are not making effort and the clients are not responding, because it's a risk also, right?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna have a store full of 5 people but cheats,
just for the sake of having a store.
Can't. So these are things that I'm learning by myself.
Yeah.
I'm the one who knocks, leasing manager, hey, but I really don't have that much money.
Yeah.
But if you make the electricity prepaid, maybe I can do it.
Yeah.
And then the landlord is like, okay, let me think about it. And then they look at your profile, they're like, okay, this is exciting. Let's give you a 6 months lease. Do you know what I'm saying? So for me, I'm still learning that now. Okay. This is something that there's no class, right? That's why I have a bone to pick with so many programs, because no one is saying to us, this is how you approach a landlord.
Yeah.
I knew from this year what an OB is.
Yeah.
Beneficial occupation, a BO, I mean.
Yeah.
No one, but I'm not complaining. I'm like, okay, it's fine. Like, I'll pay my school fees, right? So that's what I'm learning now. Also negotiating terms, understanding rules, because I've been insulated by CFG. Right, I have a store inside Sports Scene.
Yeah.
So I'm insulated. So before the landlord comes to me, they must first deal with
somebody else,
right? Now they're dealing with me directly, right? If your store is not open by 9, there's a penalty. Yeah. There's no, hey, I'm stuck in a taxi, blah, blah, blah. This means you say to your team, okay, it means you have to get to work at 8. I'm not risking it. So you also now suddenly tighten things up, right? And in due time, organically, you learn these things, So yeah.
Okay. Knowing what you know today, how would you describe entrepreneurship? Now that you stumbled on it, I get it when you're not an entrepreneur, you didn't want to be one, but now you are in it.
Yeah.
What do you think it is, if you were to define it?
I mean, this definition changes over the years and over the seasons, right? Because sometimes it's amazing, sometimes it's just traumatizing, right? Like,
why are you all saying this, guys? That's traumatizing.
No, and I'm not trying to scare people, right? I'm not trying to scare people, but it's really, and I don't like people say, it's not for the faint-hearted, because maybe someone just wants to run one shop, and that's it, I think it's time we need to stop with this Americanized version of entrepreneurship where everything must just be big, scale,
mega,
blah, 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 So for me, entrepreneurship is fun. Right now, it's fun. It's fun because I was saying to my best friend, Chief, our problems are not going anywhere, actually. I'm realizing this. But we keep growing in how we deal with them. So maybe we need to change our approach in how we deal with our problems. And one of the guys, when I got to Josie from the Cape Town store, calls me and say, hey boss, we have a crisis. No, Chief, it's not a crisis. Choose a better word. No. Because if you say crisis, you're already panicking.
Yeah.
What's the worst that could happen? Everything has happened to us. Like everything, like you can close shop, everything has happened. So I'm just like, no, my boy, this thing is the life we chose, and the problems are not getting anywhere. The more money we make, the more problems. Let's just embrace them, right? So because of that position now, I think I'm happier because I'm just like, even when there's a problem, it's fine. Can check seeds, I'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah.
Can check out panic level, I think. No, you're stressing.
It's not that urgent, yeah.
And if it is urgent, I confront it.
Yeah.
Like, if I see this is a crisis, I don't wait for the call. I go first. Because if I go first, I've won. You know, so
you're beating the crisis already.
By
showing up. Got you.
Yeah.
So agility and showing up. That's what I got.
Yeah. Walk towards the pain. That's what my friend Anila says. Yeah, walk towards the pain.
Okay. When we talk about e-commerce, right, and the world of digital, those are the new buzzwords also. I mean, they're not new, but, they're new. How do you think you guys have utilized that sector, right, in order to just take your business to the next level?
I mean, I built WalkFresh on Facebook, to be honest with you. I built WalkFresh on Facebook. All the interviews I used to get is because people will see what we're doing on Facebook, right? I mean, even supposed to found us on Facebook. So we've built the business on digital platforms, but because I studied that, I have a different understanding of it, right? For example, we're not active on Twitter, right? And everyone's like, I'm like, no. Our people are not there. And the ones that are there, they're
not there for us.
They're not there for us, right?
Yeah.
So because of my education, rather, you look at the matrix, right? And you look at the insights, right? That's why I always laugh at people. There's such like a big scene with social media managers, right? And you try someone out, and they just like come with a content calendar, and I'm like, okay, sharp. And then end of the month, I asked for the insights, right? I asked for the insights, I asked for the matrix, and I said, okay. And they just pull the reports and send you the reports. I'm like, no, I can pull the report. Yeah. Like I have the logins. If I want this report, what is it saying? Someone. Then you realize the person doesn't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
There's so many templates online. People take templates and they send you a nice presentation. Like, I like this. I see the thinking is there. But I don't put money behind something that's not going to give me a return. I tie everything else to sales. If you want me to do a 30-second vid, what's the call to action? There's a distinct understanding to say, why are we using social media? For awareness, cool, we'll put money behind ads. But what grows the business quicker is organic growth in terms of impressions and engagement and right? So for me, I've built WalkFresh on social media, on digital platforms, but I'm also very specific in how we move with that, right?
And which ones?
With which ones. And also it's such a great thing because these platforms are great. Like it's not like back in the day where you put your ad on a magazine and the house is promising you viewership, but you can't really measure it. But with digital platforms, you can actually see, okay, people are pressing on this thing in Pitori. Okay, let's see if they press more in Pitori. We'll run a special day and see. And then that's how we open the shop in Alberton.
Yeah.
We're looking at our ads, we're looking at the engagement, and through the ads, there's call to action, book a pickup, and people keep booking around that area. Then after a year, I'm like, okay, cool, there's something here, let's go. Right. So for me, all that information, that's why I keep saying the insights. What's the insights? Because then we can action on those. Not information, or there's 5,000 that follow you. Okay. How many of those people are buying?
Yeah, how many translate into
conversion? Now I need to convert. If I'm gonna put 250 on an ad, I want 2,000. So I always advise people to build those platforms, but also build a voice, right? Have your own voice. We don't do Happy Mandela Day, and no offense, because it's such a generic thing. Like people want to do that holiday thing, but they don't really mean it. Like, and we're like, no, we don't have to. Everyone knows it's the holiday. I ain't a flop, Instead of saying Happy Mother's Day, we'll send our clients Mother's Day discounts. Yeah. Because we have their numbers.
For the people that your actual client base,
Because then I can convert that, compared to me briefing my graphic designer to do an artwork on Mother's Day that I'm going to post and people just like, and there's no money. And
your strategy has not changed from the beginning. We're making money or nothing. I hear you.
Yeah.
So you mentioned in the beginning that you've learned quite a few lessons, right?
Yeah.
If you were talking to somebody that's looking to start, whether they are in corporate or they are feeling like, I have an idea, but this starting thing, I like the salary. but I have this idea and it's burning. What are some of the lessons first that you can give them that you've learned from? And then some kind of a to-do list of how do you know that leap on this?
That's such a dangerous question because I'm not Elon Musk. I don't know, right? But
yes,
from my experience, from my experience, if you can't do it while you're still working, you can't do it, Chief.
Okay.
Right? And there's a danger in that because your salary is such a cushion that you can see it work. But I left my job after 2 years of having started Work Fresh.
Yeah.
Because, and having been an employer from the age of 23, I now understand how employers think and how employees think, because I was also an employee, right? And employees are very impulsive. People with salaries are impulsive. And they don't realize how important a salary is, right? And they look at Lethabo and say, I also want to be my own boss.
Yeah.
My
own hours,
tire work in and I'm like, hey, my boy, you're playing with fire, right? So my advice to someone who's in an office right now, has a salary, pursue that, right? Pursue that until it tells you to leave.
Yeah.
Someone asked me a couple of days ago, how do you know? Someone was showing me, I was at the Glenmore, showing me like a store. This other social media influencer had a store, then the store closed down.
Yeah.
And I said to her, I know why that store closed down. I'm thinking of what she's doing. That store, number one, is big.
Yeah.
It's too big.
Yeah.
Because now I understand how the square per square work. I'm just like, I'm doing the math. She's selling this. There's no way she's making rent, right? And she left the mall having owed the mall millions. For me, how I built my stores, the first store, I said, I need to work so hard that when you walk into the state camera, you can't walk. There's shoes everywhere. That's when I'll open a shop.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to open a big shop just so that my friends are there and we're taking pictures. The business has to tell me it's time to open a shop, right? And that's how I've been opening my shops. Similar advice to people who are in corporate. Until your side hustle tells you, Joe, if I'm making 20K from my side hustle, my salary is 25K.
Yeah.
And I can do this at home. I don't have to ride a taxi or petrol. The math is mathing.
Yeah.
And if I'm there full time, this means I can make 40.
Yeah.
But now you make 2,000 a week from your side hustle and you think you're going to leave your job. You're going to have a problem.
Yeah.
Because what happens with small and startup business, the first 2 years you're doing this, everyone is excited. Hey, we're sharing your stuff online. We're telling our parents. We're taking you plateaus. Now you have to run the business.
Yeah.
Now people don't come because they know you. They come because you know what you're doing or not. And if you don't, they don't. Like the hype dies down, right? So my advice, I don't have a three-stepping. That business will tell you. And if you want to go into property and you haven't built a back room, no, chief, slow down. Build a back room first. Then let's see if you can manage two guys with the phone with the office and let's see they'll do what you're asking them to do
without you being there. And
don't tell me about what you're seeing online. It's two different things that's happening online and on the ground, So my advice, I always say this to my friends, I say, don't leave your job until your side hustle tells you to leave.
Yeah,
that's my advice. Otherwise and you're gonna bother us.
And we're busy.
Hey, chief, I'm busy, my boy. I hardly have time for my nieces. And now I must baby you, So no, don't leave your job yet. You will know. You will know. Ideas are free.
Yeah.
Ideas are free. Like, that's why when we sit in pitching competitions, you hear entrepreneurs say, but I can't tell you my idea. We're just like, hey. So
because also by actually there's nothing new under the sun.
There's nothing.
Yeah.
And I've never hidden what I do at Work Fresh because I've always dared people do it better than me. Here's how I do it. I'm not gonna hide. When you come to my shops, here's the things. You can see the things. And if you think you can do it better than me, let's see. Because it's about the execution, right? Who can outrun everyone? Who has the stamina? So if I hide the idea, it's just fear. Then why are you scared? Do you know what you're doing?
Yeah.
If you do know what you're doing.
And I guess it also prevents you from growing, right? If you're also just keeping the information to yourself.
Exactly. But because I know what I'm doing, you can't keep up with me. Well, you know how to clean sneakers I manufacture. But you know how to manufacture make shoelaces? Because I'm committed to this, so I'm not hiding anything from you. You know, so if you think you can do it, but don't just leave your job. It's just badala, man. You have responsibilities. You know, and now you're gonna be a victim. No, I don't advise that.
It's not how the world works. Okay. Let's talk about investors, right? There are people who are looking, I mean, they could be watching right now and they are looking to, they have money to spend, essentially.
Yeah.
They're the big spenders. What do you think, what's next for WalkFresh that you think investors come through because this is where we want to go?
This is such a funny part of this whole chat for me, right? Because I'm in such a very, funny phase, right? And I keep quiet online because people are sensitive, man. I'm realizing, man, the homies are soft. Bros are soft. People get touchy, you know.
And entrepreneurs, they get touched.
Yeah, no, but not just entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs are very passionate people.
Yeah.
That's one of the prerequisites of being an entrepreneur. You have to be passionate, right? And I posted yesterday, and that's the trap we fall into because we go into business with our hearts. And that's a trap. I'm sure we'll talk about that some other day. But with investors, I'll be honest with you, South Africa doesn't have investors.
That's what do you mean?
Dude, and that's why I haven't been talking online. I haven't done a podcast in more than 4 years. Because then people are not willing to challenge the narratives. People take what they get given, right? I was talking to a friend driving here, and he was talking about how startups are the backbone of economies. And he said, stop reiterating what you read. Industries are backbones of economies. Startups are pacifiers. They're keeping us alive. But for you to... Okay. South Africa doesn't have investors. Let me tell you why I'm saying that.
Tell me.
There's a difference between someone who has capital and understands the patience investing in a business requires.
Yeah.
And someone who just retired and has 1 million and wants to put it somewhere.
Yeah.
The latter wants to employ you. Because once they give you the 1 million, their son is going to come and say, I studied accounting, so I'm going to be an accountant. Yeah. And when it's off season, the son thinks you're eating money. You know? South Africa, and I'm willing to be challenged on this, right? Because this is my lived experience, right? Our investment space is not where we think it is.
Yeah.
Right? We're still struggling with funding. Two different things. We're still struggling with funding. South African entrepreneurs are the most over-mentored, underfunded entrepreneurs in the continent. Right? People are losing sleep over something I said on LinkedIn. People are making money off pretending to train entrepreneurs and actually the entrepreneurs. You know? So if I were to ask you 2 investors that you know that have invested in startups that you know personally, that would be interesting, the answer, right?
Yeah.
So for the startup space, we just haven't, and we deal with it, right? Let me tell you why I'm saying we deal with it. These people do that, right? The investors that you're talking about, they get the money. This guy, Mebusha Matenda, Epulukwani, he's well off. He has good intentions. He sees a boy who's running, no, 50, or here's a 200K, what do you need? Boom, boom, boom. The day he doesn't have cash flow, he comes back to the sport. And they call us, this guy now wants da-da-da-da. And I'm like, when I started WalkFresh 9 years ago, people are smart. They can see this thing as a gold mine.
Yeah.
Any entrepreneur can see, these sneakers are going to be there forever. This is milk, right? And then they came to me, I want to invest. And I said to them, okay, first of all, how do you value my company, right? The reason I'm saying this investor thing is just a fugazi that we like talking about because it's part of the entrepreneurship business. But if we really drill it down, entrepreneurs in South Africa don't know what valuation caps are. We don't know the methods, the formulas to value our companies. We don't know the returns VCs expect, which are not practical for our ecosystem, for our environment. Those guys want 10x.
Yeah.
Right? So if we're saying investors, who are we really talking about?
Yeah.
if you're saying funders, then that's a different conversation, because then CIFA will give you a 2 million loan, 30% of that is a grant, then you paid off over the
time.
Yes, right? Yeah. But I'm not the type of person to throw words around. So my answer is, that conversation is still premature. Entrepreneurs are still doing backflips for grants of 50,000.
Yeah.
Right? You ask for 250,000 rand, due diligence and financials, and that's fine, right? But I said, how come does it seem like you need money to make money doesn't apply to South African entrepreneurs? Black South African entrepreneurs, to be specific. How come? How are we making this money? How are we opening the shops?
Yeah.
So do you understand that it's not normal that you're expected to open shops as Lethabo without capital, but you're still doing it anyway?
Yeah.
Right? And I make the prime example what we see every Jan, where there's always a kid somewhere in either Mpumalanga, Eastern Cape, who has an award and a trophy for 12 distinctions because he used to walk to school barefoot.
Yeah.
So adversity is celebrated. Which, no, but you must bootstrap it. You go to Nigeria, those boys get given thousands of dollars for ideas. I don't have an idea. I have a business. I have employees.
It's already happened.
What else do you want me to show you?
Yeah.
Like I meet payroll every month, but they'll say, show us your way. What. I watch pitches. I raised capital for 2 years. Sit down with people and you realize, man, people just like saying I'm an investor. And when you get there and you say, okay, I need 2 million. 2 million. And you're just like, that's why I moved to Cape Town, because I was like, in Jersey, people are scared of 2 million. Maybe in Cape Town it might be different, right?
So that other country, they get it. They know.
No, it's like they even get shocked. They get worried on you, on your behalf.
Just to know.
Is that the runway you need?
Yeah.
And they for them, it's a red flag. They're like, this is not practical. But you must understand, you're operating from a place of trauma. You're used to running from minors, and you know you can do it. But it's not a reality that they can fulfill. For them, it's just like it's impossible.
Why are you running on minors, according to them? Yeah.
Because it's unimaginable, right? So, and then we're saying South African investors, I know they'll forgive me. And if they are serious, they must call me.
Yeah.
And they must tell me
actual conversations.
Yeah, and they must tell me what model are we going with? What model, you know?
My goodness. Okay. What's next? What's next for Walk Fresh? Where are we going?
We're cruising.
Yeah.
No pressure. No, we're grown-ups now. We fall in traps of that. What's next? Boom,
yeah.
boom, boom.
Yeah.
Boom. No. You stabilize the ship.
Easy does it.
Stabilize the ship and slow cooked. If you listen long enough, the business will tell you what's next. Right? We know, like I said initially, we've had to revamp the model. Right? We've had to revamp the model. And maybe the right answer is to say 1,000 pairs a day. That's our North Star. To say, how do we clean 1,000 pairs a day? Because once we answer that, then we'll know what the model requires. You know. So for us, the North Star is that. But beyond that, we're cruising. What we have, that's why I said to my friends, beginning there, don't come to me with new ideas, dog. Like, now I'm doing things that are working from here on going forward. Every year, I want to start this, I want to start that.
But so often, our funny vision board.
No, get sharp. God, I didn't say not get sharp. Not get a vision board 4 years ago, and I'm still trying to achieve those things. So every year, I'm doing a vision board. What happens to the things I did last year? I've achieved all of them. Maybe they were not big enough then. You see. So for me, I've recused myself, even from my friends. I said, boys, come to me with things that work, and I'll amplify them.
Yeah.
But this thing of taking our energy, and I always say this to other young entrepreneurs, pick one thing, bro. Pick one thing, run with it. Like, run with it, and you'll thank yourself, right? So, what's next is, we're calm now. We're calm. We move. We check what's happening.
We're not panicking. We're not rushing to anything.
No.
Nothing is a crisis.
No, there's no crisis here. We're in charge.
100%.
No. There's no crisis. We've been doing this thing for a while. Like, there's continuous excitement. Something new. I said this to my friends. I was like, yo, man, my ambition robbed me of my gratitude. Because I'm always thinking of what's next. I don't see what's happening. I don't see how far I've come, right? And I'm just like, oh no, we're here.
Yeah.
We're still going, but we're here. Like, let's exist here. Let's make this right.
Yeah.
Let's close there. Let's tighten there. Oh, this one is toxic. Hey, chief. You know what I'm saying? So for me, that's where I'm at, man. I'm very calm right now.
Lovely.
Very calm.
Ladies and gentlemen, Lomfana Washamategi. Lethabo, thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.